the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week.
This is Roberto Capodieci, and you are at the Business Story of the Week.
Fantastic. That is Roberto Capodieci, and I am Joshua, your host for today. And, I love it. I'm very excited with this topic because our question for today is how can decentralized technology reshape our daily lives? And I feel like I love these questions for our audience listeners out there who's been listening for a while. You guys know how much I love this topic, how enthusiastic I am, and we have the perfect man to answer that question today. Roberto is an entrepreneur with a deep passion and extensive experience in emerging technology, particularly in the realm of decentralized system and blockchain technology. Now, that is a very, very sweet introduction, Roberto. You have had a lot of achievements and accolades in your life, but thank you for coming on the show. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me in your show. I'm doing okay. I'm excited to discuss about decentralization. It's a very important thing.
It is a very important thing. It really transforming our lives, transforming the not just technology, but probably the fabric of how we live life. Hopefully, in the future, for better things.
Yeah, I
Hopefully,
guess.
but Roberto, here's my first question, and I always start off with this one. What did the young Roberto think about decentralized technology? Did he always know he was gonna get into tech?
In a way, yes, because
Mhm.
I've been fascinated by communications. As a little kid, I had the citizen band, the CB, like the radio to talk around.
Oh
I
wow!
started connecting with the first, before internet, but bulletin
Mhm.
board systems. There were networks around. It was
Wow!
very interesting. Like say 7 years old, I would get one coin, get to a
Mhm.
phone book, put the coin inside, call somebody in Japan, and the phone line will
Oh.
drop immediately because the credit was not enough for a long call. But the idea that me from Italy, I can get somebody in Japan, possibly was sleeping, get out of the bed and go to the phone,
Fast.
make me feel like. So the idea to have an effect in a remote location
Mm-hmm.
was very exciting. So it
Mm-hmm.
was the what pushed me to become expert, to study, to learn, to invent, to deploy things related to communication. Decentralization is the apex, being remote, being in the same
Yes,
place altogether. So I think that's a beautiful place,
I
beautiful things
love it.
for me to.
I love how you put that together. That this is the apex. The apex of having that fascination since you were a child, and now putting it
Absolutely.
all together. What particular point in your moment, in your life, the pivotal moment where you encountered the decentralizations, of course, in blockchain, and we all know when blockchain came out. But what was the precise pivotal moment in your life, in your career, where you said, "This is it. This is going to be the area of my expertise."
Way before blockchain. I
Mm,
don't know. Many will remember that there were some system to distribute music, movies,
of
like
course.
Napster, like
Mm-hmm.
etc. etc.
Mm-hmm.
And government would make rules and go punish the people that were managing those servers. Okay.
Right.
Then
Wow.
BitTorrent came out. BitTorrent was
Yes.
a peer-to-peer system,
Yep.
and there was no central server, central coordination.
Yes.
They had to change the rules. They had to
Mm-hmm.
punish people that use the system. And that
Mm-hmm.
made me understand that this peer-to-peer network was something that was so powerful that
Yes.
not even an organized government can stop it,
I
right?
love that.
So, and that was the base, which is the base for blockchain as well, the
Yes.
base
Yes.
of decentralizing systems.
Yes.
So having many
Mm-hmm.
servers, many computers that people put online, doesn't matter how many there are, one can go offline, two can be
Mm-hmm.
online. None is more important than the other, and they all work
Yes.
together for a common goal in a
Yes.
synchronized manner. It's a fascinating, very fascinating thing. It's
It
not
is a
easy even to,
I love
but
it. I love it.
yeah.
I mean, you're speaking my language, Roberto. Like I love. I'm part of the generation that was. We are part of the generation that was exposed to torrent, peer to peer. We understood the power early on. We understood it, and it was almost like the start of decentralizing, democratizing data, sharing
Yeah,
things, sharing everything together.
there are two interesting aspects I think that is
Please.
worth noticing.
Hmm.
One is the fact that many things were already decentralized. Think
Right.
about the mail. Mail is a federated network of mail servers. In the
Of
past,
course.
every offices and many houses as well, with the IT geek guy was living in, had their own mail server, which means that from your computer, the mail goes to your home or office mail server, and from the mail server goes to the mail server of the person receiving the email. So it was a network of hundreds of thousands of mail servers. And then slowly people gave up this to give everything the hand of few. So all the mail of the planet goes through Gmail, Outlook,
Right.
and a few others. And
Yes.
this is something that centralized, something that was already decentralized, was born decentralized.
I
And
love that.
now, and consider the email as a protocol that is horrible. It's just because it's very old, you
Yes,
know.
of course.
So is now encrypted, it's totally transparent. People don't
Hmm.
realize that there is no privacy in email. When you send an email, there is a lot of people that can read the content, even modify the content. In fact,
It's true.
people that manage mail servers, sometimes they were doing the scam to change bank account number for payment in companies, so on and so forth.
Wow.
So decentralizing or
Hmm.
redecentralizing many
Hmm.
services
Okay.
is something important.
Hmm.
And sorry, finish this thing just to give it the context of decentralization in a clear manner.
Of
The
course.
other big value is that the mail was a federated network, strange protocol, and whatever. But
Yes.
today, when what happened with blockchain is the biggest step that we needed in the evolution of the information technology era where we
Mm.
are, right?
Mm.
Which was the capacity to give a unicity, singularity to something that is fully
Yes.
digital. Before
Yes.
it was a
Wow.
hardware, so it's a vinyl disc. I give it to you, and I
Hmm.
don't have it anymore, right?
Yes.
When the MP3 came out, I can make a copy and paste of the MP3, and you don't know which is the original because they are one to one, bit by bit, identical. All right,
Wow.
and this was a
Yes.
problem because it's harder to make fruition, create scarcity, and give
Yes.
value to things that are digital.
Yes.
What if you think about Bitcoin? If I cannot copy and paste my Bitcoin and give it to you because Bitcoin will
Of
be worth
course.
zero tomorrow morning. So
No
in
way.
the moment that
No.
I give it to you, I don't have it anymore.
Hmm.
Furthermore, with the NFTs, that is a funny monkey that people paid a lot of money for, which I don't understand why, but happy them.
Mm.
The idea was the value was this incredible aspect that I own something that is fully digital, is a JPEG, but I have a unicity, unique title of ownership, so much that I can sell it to you and I don't have it anymore, which is
Uh-huh.
something that seems silly, but is the huge revolution that there is with the blockchain. So there are many other interesting aspects that are there, but this capacity to create a unique, you
Hmm.
know, piece of digital content, information, whatever you
Of
want,
course.
is the base for everything that will come soon.
I love, I love that. I love that. First off, you started your career very early. You know, you had recognition from the president himself because of your television appearances in Italy. President Clinton, by the way, is what I'm talking to. And around 2013, 2015, you started on debuted on OTD docs, and that's where you really started your blockchain experience, right? And then further on, you kind of started going through this path of like this focused path right down blockchain without getting too a little bit into the technical aspects of it. You mentioned decentralization has been around for a while, and we finally realized that blockchain can make these digital assets more unique. Could you give us one example of one that it is commonly being used today? Of course, there is Bitcoin. Apart the financial aspect, give us one blockchain examples, one application of blockchain that is shaping our the way we live today, and one that will shape our lives in the future.
Right. We are just out of the bubble of the big,
Mm,
hype created around nothing, and the bad name the blockchain got because was associated to crypto, which was associated to scams, right?
yes.
Or NFTs and scams. But a lot of advancement and people is already applying this thanks regulators that allow it to do it, because most of the time
Yes.
technology can get there, but if the law doesn't allow the use of the technology, right?
Yes.
Is the assetization or tokenization, how people want to call it, mostly
Hmm.
real estate. For
Of
example, you
course.
can have a house, you can have
Hmm.
a token that represents a portion of ownership of the house, and so you can buy $100 part of a house, and when this
Yes.
house is rented, you get your or your right of the minutes of use of the house, whatever it
Of
is.
course.
But this is made by law in many countries already possible. So
Hmm.
there are a lot of practical implementation of the tokenization of
Right.
real estate. So this is
Hmm.
something that is happening in silence, and
Already.
not much noise is happening today.
Hmm.
I do believe that what is going to be amazing to apply blockchain to
Hmm.
tomorrow is the bureaucracy, the documentation
I
flow.
love it.
So
Yes.
as of today, I need to go from an office to another, show the paper.
Hmm.
It's not good. It need to be notarized. Blah blah blah. If the rule of the flow are written some transaction type or smart contract, whatever you want,
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't support smart contract for many reasons, but the concept is that one.
Yes, of course.
Then I give always the simple example. I want to register at the gym. The gym require a health
Yes.
certificate from a doctor, right?
Yep.
So I can go to a doctor. The doctor can create it digitally and
Hmm.
sign it. And
Yep.
the cryptographic identity of the doctor is approved by the
Yes.
government. There is a
Wow.
doctor. So this can be verified instantly. I can
Very
hand over
interesting.
this uh, this information to the gym, which they
Hmm.
can see that is me, is the doctor, is an actual doctor, nobody
Yes.
counterfeit the document, and
Yes.
this can be done in 2 seconds from the cell phone,
Hmm.
and
Of course.
all is guaranteed 100%. So it's not some certificate that I made at home with Photoshop because no
Hmm.
doctor will give it to me,
Yes.
and and is auditable, verifiable
Verifiable.
anytime, and privacy can be kept by encrypting
Yes.
data and giving just the decryption key to the people you want. So
Hmm.
that's a very interesting use case, the example that I give you. But can you imagine, like, you get married, you have to have documents from different country if you are not, it is a headache. In this way can be all facilitated. Is you remove corruption because nobody can create an obstacle in the process. So I
Hmm.
think this will be the best case that can happen in the future. So
No
that's
more red tape. Less red tape.
it is, yeah. I mean, things is fair and right. Many time now we need to do generalizations because
Right.
you don't have the capacity to go into details. So you have passport of a country, you cannot
That's
travel
it.
in another country just because it's
Yes.
why.
Why
Maybe there is a
exactly?
criminal in a country, is a good person in another. So you
Uh-huh.
can go more down in the details
Hmm.
to allow things to work much more smoothly.
Uh-huh.
So
How about voting, Roberto?
that's a very
Hmm.
particular
Very,
topic.
very, yeah. It's a very, very sensitive one, but also, of course, it's. You talked about documentation. You talk about legal and our records basically being available right away, instantly available where we need it, when we need it, and certified, verifiable. Cannot be fake because it's just ready information, and this could be applied on so many things. I mean, just imagine the implications of all that. But Roberto, at the end of the day, wait. First off, when did blockchain start? Right, like blockchain before 2013, way back. So it's been how many years now? Almost a decade over. More than a
Yeah,
decade.
more than a decade. It was
More than a decade.
2009
Yep,
when
2009.
Bitcoin came out. I
Yes.
had one of the first version. I
Oh,
didn't know what it was for. I wanted to create a decentralized file system.
right.
Somebody handed over that. It was in Usenet. It was a group between people that was
Yes.
doing
Yes.
decentralization.
Oh.
I eventually came back in 2013
Mm-hmm.
with a project for a layer one in
Mm-hmm.
proof of stake, the first proof of stake
Yes.
blockchain called NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually later I start thinking that the best application for the technology was outside the financial world. I mean,
Yes.
it's important they came out because of finance, because people noticed it, right?
Of course.
But it's easier to do application where the regulation is not so strong, so difficult, because
Mm-hmm.
it seems like Don Quixote fighting the windmills, to try to get banks to adopt
Mm-hmm.
technologies.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, I thought that the documentation flow was the best things, applied
Mm-hmm.
to international trade, applied to supply chain,
Mm-hmm.
applied to,
Yes.
many other aspects.
Absolutely.
So
It's
that's,
been around for a long time, Roberto, and there's always been talk like when main concern always, and this is something that I always ask my guests in the similar industry, it's always application, like people adaptation, right? So blockchain is nice, but one reason why it's still not widely used, widely spread, is because people aren't adapting to it, and they call that like, where is the killer app, where is it coming out, when is it coming out, so people can adapt. Why is that? Why do you think that's happening?
No, I think that the difficult part, I mean, look, artificial intelligence is always many
Hmm.
years that is there, and suddenly
Hmm.
boom comes out,
Hmm.
which is ChatGPT. The advantage the AI has compared to blockchain is that it's tangible what you can do with AI. So you see just the
Yes,
question, get the answer.
of course, right away.
When they say it's not rocket science, actually, rocket science has the advantage that you see the rocket going up to the sky. So you can
Right.
see the fruit of work of the technology. Blockchain is like same database, right? It's something that stay behind the scene. Maybe people use it without even knowing that they're using it.
Yes. Yes.
So that is more difficult to understand the advantage.
Mm.
Get into implementing, do the R&D, do all the work implementing
Yes.
something,
Yes.
unless is the only way to do it.
Yes.
But even there is always, so there is a cultural shift, but on the side of the user, that ultimately they don't even know what they're using. You
Yes.
don't need to know the engine to drive the car. So if you drive the
Hmm.
car, you need to know how to drive. So when you use an application on your phone, who cares what there is behind? If it does what it
Of
does and
course.
you trust that it is safe for you. So then user is not the issue, I think. But there are use cases, for example, in
Hmm.
the gaming industry.
Yes.
Now, with all it is Web3, which is blockchain
Yes.
based,
Web3.
there is the fact that I own an avatar and my avatar goes around with me. My
Hmm.
daughter has in Roblox an avatar, it must be $2,500 of wings, heads, and whatever it is.
uh,
And he's isolated there. It would be nice if in a Web3 world, this avatar was on a blockchain and a set that she owned, like an NFT. And when she
yes.
go inside, I don't know, Minecraft, boom, she
Yes.
has
Yes.
the same avatar because they belong
Hmm.
to her.
Hmm.
So in this case, there is no other way that either trusting a third party to be the
Hmm.
bank of the game assets, if you want,
Yes. Of course.
or using the blockchain. So in this way, people is forced to do one step forward, the complexity of seed, private keys,
Wow. Of course.
etc.,
Of
which are
course.
the, on the other side, these are simplified by more
That's it.
innovation in the managing of
Mm,
things.
that's it.
So it's
And
like two side walking toward each other.
of course.
Eventually people is going to use it without knowing that they're using it.
Well,
So
I love that because, of course, there's optimism in there that people are slowly starting use it a lot more, and as the technology is being applied on more instances, do you feel like this kind of future, the blockchain future, or the innovation behind it, is inevitable? Do you feel like we will come to a point where we'll apply it everywhere?
absolutely, it will be the, but it's a slow process
Hmm.
because I don't know if you remember, if I don't know how old you are, but I'm very old, I'm 50, and I saw the birth of a lot of technology. So there was the fax machine. The fax
Hmm.
machine where those machine where you put a
Hmm.
piece of paper comes out on the other side as a copy. When the email come out, the people were saying email will never be successful because you need
Yes.
to turn on the computer, start writing, turn
Hmm.
on the modem, connect to the
Hmm.
internet,
Hmm.
send this thing to the other person, then pick up the phone, call the other person, say, look, I sent you an email, make sure you received it, okay? Like this. A fax, you put it there and it's going through, it's simple. So fax will always win against email. Obviously, bad prediction. Faxes still exist today because regulator forced the bank to receive information via fax because that's a legally valid document, while
Hmm.
other means are not. But technologically wise, is totally surpassed. An email becomes something that you, from your phone, you
Of
send and
course.
receive. The same way, a lot of aspects and advantages and use cases that decentralized systems bring to people are today the email that was there when the fax machine came out. So
That's it.
they're more complicated, and people say
Wow.
why people would do this. But give it some time, and probably
Hmm.
will be the best choice and the most practical choice because
Of course.
we're gonna have hardware, we're gonna have a lot of other support
Hmm.
that allow us to
Yes.
use those systems better.
Right. You mentioned hardware, you mentioned third party, and people getting more familiar. Of course, third party is simplifying everything. What else can we do as an individual to kind of start accelerating the adaptation? Is there a way for each of us, like audience and listeners, perhaps, to kind of like speed things up so we could, have a blockchain future?
Right. So I guess if listener play video games, maybe asking to the video games company to make sure the asset in the video game are being the
Wow.
ownership goes to the person, can be
I love that.
traded as NFTs. For example, one request is forcing people to say, "Look, I'm gonna drop you if you don't offer this to me," and they have no other means that using the
Mm,
centralized system, right?
that's it. That's
Uh,
it.
Learning and understanding the value of decentralizing is another important thing, but it's very individual, for
Very
many people
individual.
can be totally boring topic.
Of course.
So on the aspect of the advantages, think about it. There are use cases that have been consulting that is very genius, like a company making a product that is like a laser pointer that is used in
Oh,
x-rays machine, is used at the airport, is used in medical things. They don't know where their part end up around the world
wow.
because they're sold to reseller that resell it, the people build machine, the repair. So just putting a small QR code in these things that allow people to give an audit. I'm a technician, I'm fixing the machine in this place.
Hmm. Hmm.
Allow them to track
Yes.
all their assets around the world to be able to also understand why something
Hmm.
is broken or where there are
Hmm.
problems. You know, people that sell clothing that
Yes.
are very expensive until you get guaranteed they're using
Hmm.
warranty of the item as an
Uh-huh.
NFT. So
Hmm.
whoever is fixing it is a tailor somewhere. There is a small QR code, and they can be, and so they always have the track of everything. And
Of
when I
course.
sell it, my jacket I can show when I bought it, which
Yes.
is certified with like
Yes.
the creation of the NFT and so on and so forth. So a lot of practical aspect. Maybe
A lot of
tomorrow we're
fun.
gonna have the title of our car. There is an
Why
NFT,
not?
so
Why not? I
I
mean,
can
we're
transfer
already,
it. Yeah.
yes, we're already driving electric cars. Why not have the certificate digitally, right? I
Right.
love that. Roberto, allow me to ask or allow me to address, help me address the elephant in the room, right? When it comes to blockchain. The elephant in the room when it comes to blockchain, well, especially specifically speed, right? Why put together a blockchain website, Web3 website, anything database really that runs on blockchain when there's SQL, which is much faster, right? It feels like energy consumption as well is another issue, but I feel like we're going to get to a point where this becomes less and less of an issue. How would you address those type of questions?
All right. Well, first of all, to electricity consumption, this is really something silly that people attack themselves. That's specific to Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
specific to what is called proof of work.
Mm-hmm.
And there are methods that are not. It's like to say trains pollute because you have to use a lot of chuckles to put it
Exactly.
inside. Like
Exactly.
maybe some vintage historic trains still like this, but now train are electric is a different kind of issue. So
Mhm.
this is due to the technology used for some blockchain, but
Right.
you know there is it's like a religion. There is some people that say that's the only way to protect. Technically, actually, it's not good. I mean,
Mm.
proof of work is very easily attackable if it's not a big thing. So you can do double spending, which is the scary part of decentralized things. Repeat the
Yes.
same things to, and
Yes.
this is not viable. It's not financially
Hmm.
convenient to attack Bitcoin, but it's not impossible, right?
Of
In
course.
fact, the minor blockchain they use proof of work being attacked many times, like
Yes.
Ethereum Classic. People did double
Yes.
spending a lot of times,
Hmm.
etc., etc.
Hmm.
In fact, I work in layer one, which I own the IP, and it's not yet been published and removed,
Uh-huh.
where there is the solution for many of the issues that there are in those aspects. And those are scalability. People think, oh, how can we scale? And then I give the fact that when the phone system were born, each city have their own phone system
Right.
and different electricity voltages, so that you need the
Hmm.
people with the jack to connect one city to the other to call. Now there is standards, so things go along. You can have
Hmm.
many blockchain situated in
Hmm.
different places, accessible when needed, and there is bridges that cross between one and another. So the scalability is an issue that is relative to single ones. But
Right.
if you have some system that manage a collection of ones, so you can go unlimited. So that's really not
Fantastic.
the problem. And in terms of speed,
Okay.
there are things that can be done in a hybrid way.
Okay.
There are some stuff that doesn't need to be always decentralized, right?
Yes, of
And other
course.
things that it makes more sense to be. So they can co-live together, and
Hmm.
things need to be distributed in the way that makes sense. So
Hmm.
it's like using a quantum computer to do Microsoft Word. That doesn't make sense, right?
It does not
The
make sense.
machine is not going to perform at all, but that's
Hmm.
another use case for the computer. So I do believe that it's just a matter of a correct architecture
Hmm.
when a system is to be designed,
Hmm.
and using the decentralized aspect where is needed, use centralized part distributed as well. You don't have
I
to,
love that.
can be many central points, but in a distributed manner, replicated to that, help to mitigate the issue that there are. I mean, like,
Hmm.
yeah, I guess that, but we will go into too much small details, but
Yes,
there are a lot of limitation for sure, but there are a lot of advantages as well,
as
and
well. Yeah, it's just really kind of like it really is a new frontier, a frontier that I feel like we are still kind of
yeah,
putting a shaping, so to speak. We're shaping this new frontier of what's going to look like. It's almost difficult to imagine what it's going to look like, and it's similar with AI. Roberto, I love your perspective, and before we start wrapping this up, I want to start looking towards the future. Roberto, of course, you mentioned earlier advent of AI and how much it blew up, how popular it is now. It's of course a common question. How do you see the relationship of AI and blockchain evolving in the next decade? Is it something that is going to be inevitable, something that will be part of our future as well? A big part, is it?
what concern AI, I mean, is already something that people, you
It
cannot take it away
is.
from them.
Yes.
And I love the fact that there is a big open source approach to it, but
Yes.
it's still centralized in terms of training and other things. So you get AIs that give answers that are not really,
Mm,
like objective.
of course.
One of the things that I'm working on since 2 years in this side is a system to
Wow.
decentralize artificial intelligence.
That's it.
So you can have a peer-to-peer network of
Yes.
a computer, of server that run
Mhm,
small models, and these small
mhm,
models work together to produce results. So doesn't matter that one model is very biased to give a very bad answer, and other
mhm,
give the opposite. At the end you get a really democratic answer on
mhm.
what you want and how
I love
things
it.
are done. So you can have many different specialization, many different opinions,
Yes.
because things are trained in different manner. But
Mhm.
when you query in a generalistic manner, you're gonna end up with a
Of
value
course.
answer that is not just a decision of 10 people. It's
Exactly.
a decision
Not
of
just a,
10,000.
not just a decision of corporate companies who own the biggest AI right now.
Always,
I'm,
because think about this. Let's think about AGI or the potential of tomorrow for AI.
mhm.
Is one brain that is millions of times faster than the human brain, okay,
Yes, yes,
and has
yes.
the knowledge of all the humans put together. Now,
Mhm.
somebody like this, we look at something like this, we are like trees. Maybe the trees are intelligent but super slow. A tree
Yes,
says, "Oh, run away," but I'm gonna move at 1 millimeter per year. And at the same time, we are very gullible as people, so it's very easy to manipulate us psychologically. It doesn't matter how
yes,
intelligent you are, which have a weak point.
yes,
Now, I don't want to say that this is done with bad intent, but let's even say that to access the AI for free, they take a
mhm.
sponsor that sell chocolate bars, and
Yes,
suddenly all the people using the particular AI start craving for chocolate bars because
yes.
we are manipulated into it. Okay,
Mhm.
and this is maybe not even a bad thing. We all become more fat, and so I feel less alone. But at the end of the day, it can be used for a very bad thing. So obviously, we
Yeah,
saw to what extent people go for political gains.
of course,
Like.
of course. We're
So
already
can you
seeing it.
imagine how we expose ourselves? In fact, something that I tell people is not to use it.
Mm.
Don't forget that this is a mean, it's not an end.
Yes,
So it's a
I
tool
love
that
that.
you use to do something else. And
Yes,
as you use it as a tool, you're safe. When it
yes,
become the end, because you replace your friend that you cannot talk with, replace your psychologist, then you're putting yourself in the hand of this thing. So it
right.
becomes dangerous.
Of course. And that's why we need to give power back to the people. We need to democratize, you know, data, democratize the control of
Absolutely.
data, and hopefully that is the future that we have in store when it comes to blockchain. And you are, Roberto, one of the spearheading, the leaders and the voice spearheading this movement. You're teaching people, you're going around the world talking about blockchain and everything. Roberto, of course, the website is .com. That is
Easy.
CAPODIECI
It's
dot
shorter. You can
com.
go rcx.it, and then you're there.
RCX.it. There you go. I should have known that. I spelled the entire thing. But again, Roberto, where else can we find you? Of course, RCX.com. Where else can we connect with you?
IT, no com. IT like Italy for me, or information technology, rcx.it or capodieci.com. I think that LinkedIn is the best network. So there my handle is rc10. So the classic linkedin.com/in rc10. Or just Google my name, and there is pretty much just me with his name around the world.
Well, that's it. I do actually, of course, we are connected on LinkedIn now. To our audience and listeners out there, rcx.com is the website. Go check out Roberto.
.it, now
Dot
.com.
.it.
That's
I'm
not
sorry.
my
No, look at rcx.it for
IT,
an
like
easy
information
way.
technology.
Yes, for an easy way to look at Roberto. Also, it's LinkedIn/in/rc10. You can find him there as
Okay.
well. Get on the socials. Go look for him as well, Roberto. It's been great. It's been fantastic. I love these topics, and you got such a bright perspective about
Happy
it. I love it.
to come back for another chat in the
I'd
future. But
love to. We'll do this one more time, Roberto. I wouldn't mind. Again, this is a future that we can. There's a lot to talk about.
oh,
Definitely,
absolutely, there is
there's
a
so
lot.
much to unravel. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your expertise.
All right, thanks to you for having me in your show.
To all our audience and listeners out there, thank you for watching the episode. I hope you enjoyed this one. I thoroughly did. I hope you got value out of this, got more excited with blockchain. Go check out Roberto, and we will see you on the next one. Bye bye.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.